Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to The Mixer, the segment on this channel where I give you guys a whole bunch of varied topics, regarding all walks of life. I talk about people, places, animals, food and sports and whatnot, the whole 9 yards. And speaking of sports, today I'm going to be covering a topic that I have addressed on this channel before because it's pretty usual at this point for me to remake old videos, especially now that I'm kind of sort of on the final stretch of my FIFA gameplays. I've been doing some FIFA 22. So I've also been kind of like mixing in together, you see what I did there, roll credits, mixing in some soccer related vlogs and stuff, and today I'm going to be remaking an old video that I did many years ago, but I'm going to make it so much better, give you guys more detail and actual clips and stuff, so hopefully this is going to be well received by you. And I'm also wearing my Chelsea jersey, For a long time I was a Chelsea supporter, one of the biggest teams in England, and it is very fitting for what I'm going to be talking about today, which is covering the English Premier League, which many consider to be the best soccer competition in the world. Hold on a minute, why did Chazzy just say soccer if, I live in Europe, you watching this video, I am an European, and I call it football and the rest of the world does as well, and the Premier League is talked about, it's called football because I speak American English, I grew up in the United States, and I am sick and tired of having to say football just for the sake of, putting a smile on your face, okay, if you live in Europe, so I'm gonna call it soccer. I don't give a crap, alright? Except for when there are actual specific terms, like the football league, but that's different. But anyway, so a little bit about the Premier League, right? Now, I personally do consider it to be the best soccer competition in the world, already going to immediately knock off that in the beginning of the video here because the title is something kind of like if it's the best competition. Well, it is. It was founded way back in the day on the 20th of February in 1992, the same year that I was born, but I was born in December, so many months later. And now the idea is that it's sort of it was kind of like to break away, the decision of the clubs in what at the time was called the Football League First Division, to break away from the Football League, which itself was founded in 1882. So, sorry, 1888. It's a very long time ago, 82. Just got a few years wrong there, So they decided to take advantage of a very lucrative television sales rights to Sky, So then they actually started to make a lot more money. So it was more profitable for them to create a whole new league from scratch, It is contested by 20 clubs in total, and it operates on a promotion and relegation based system, So basically at the end of a season, if the first four teams, if you make it into the first four teams in the English Football League, which is the EFL, the second division, you are promoted to the Premier League. But if you are stuck in the bottom four tier in the Premier League at the end of a season, you are then relegated down to the EFL. That's how it works. And usually seasons range, they typically run from August to May, and every team plays a total of 38 games, so there are 20 teams, so they play all of the other 19 teams twice, right, home and away. So yes. And usually they are played on Saturday and Sunday afternoons, which I believe is called Boxing Day, but they do also have weekday evening fixtures, So now here's the thing, a few other really cool tidbits of info here that I want to share with you guys, From 2019 to 2020, the league's accumulated television rights deals were worth around 3.1 billion euros, or actually I think this is pounds. Yes, I do believe this is pounds, the little symbol here, that's what I put up on screen. If it's not, it's on screen anyway, so I don't care, So now, let's not talk too much about the payment, right? The Premier League is right now the most watched sports league in the world because it is broadcast to 212 different territories, which has, a reach of 643 million homes, across all of those territories there. And that actually gives the Premier League a potential TV audience of 4.7 billion people. That is a lot of people, man, I think only the FIFA World Cup comes close to that, but I'm pretty sure that depends on the competition, but it can usually be watched a lot more, So now basically aggregated attendance across all of the matches, is actually the highest of any association soccer league because the Premier League brings into the stadiums 14,508,981 people in total, which is a lot of people, accumulated across all of the matches, and And usually the stadium occupancies are near capacity, and the Premier League actually ranks first right now in the FIFA coefficients of leagues based on performances in Europe competitions over the past 5 seasons as of last year. So that's pretty crazy. And also, the English top flight has produced the second highest number of UEFA Champions League and European Cup titles, with 5 English clubs, having won 14 European trophies in total. Now, ever since the tournament began in 1992, a total of 50 clubs have participated in it, 48 of them being English and 2 of them being Welsh, being from Wales, which is also the United Kingdom, and 7 of them have actually won the title. So here we go. We have here, since the beginning, Manchester United with 13 titles, Manchester City with 6 titles, Chelsea, my team, my English team, with 5 titles, Arsenal with 3 titles, the Blackburn Rovers with just 1 title, and also Leicester City with 1 title, which was the craziest one that we've seen, in recent years, and Liverpool with just 1 title. So now, before I continue, I'm going to try to show you guys here a clip from the early days of the Premier League. I don't know what club, I don't know what player, but I'm going to try to show you guys a goal here from like back in the 90s.
The Hammers had a long wait for the second goal. Then Florin Raduchoiu came on as a late sub, collected a loose ball near halfway and surged away to plant it beyond Lionel Perez. The 2-0 score was a get-well message to Harry Redknapp, absent with flu.
Pretty awesome, huh? God, I really hope it worked out. I really hope these clips are working out and I can insert them without any copyright issues, because that does happen a lot with these sports videos. But anyway, let's get into some specific topics here, regarding the Premier League. Like I just said, Manchester United has the most amount of titles, and they are the most successful club, in the Premier League, in pretty much the entirety of English soccer, They were actually formed way back in 1878, and they have always been known as the Red Devils, and they have won many other titles aside from the Premier League, because before the Premier League was a thing, it was called the English Football League, and they have won quite a few titles there, domestic, the first division, and the Premier League, they have won a total of 20 titles, which is a record, no other team even comes close, and they have always played a lot of really good soccer, but so many amazing players have passed through them, man, way back in the day. We have, in no particular order, just what I can remember, right? We have Eric Cantona, Paul Scholes, there was David Beckham, more recently Cristiano Ronaldo, and there was also, there was also this one guy, I believe George Best also played there, for many years, or was it George Weah? I don't know, man, way too many damn players, More recently, they haven't really been as dominant as they were many years back, but they produced so many amazing squads. Ryan Giggs, also, how could I forget about the Welsh, Ryan Giggs, and they have actually won the most recent Premier League title, when Cristiano returned, so they are the current champions, they are currently holding their 13th Premier League trophy, and throughout all of those years, they have really shown us what it's like to play dominant soccer, attacking and defending, they were pretty much the perfect complete package for many decades, and were kind of like the cornerstone of what made the Premier League what it was, such that the runner-up, Manchester City, has 6 titles, man, less than half, so United were particularly dominant in the 90s, towards the late 90s and early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, they were very dominant, and the number 7 jersey is considered to be just symbolic in there, However, the player with the most amount of Premier League appearances, is also an Englishman, and it was Gareth Barry. He actually played from 1998 to 2020, so he, quite a few decades there of playing, with a total of 653 appearances in total. Now, a small disclaimer here, James Milner currently plays for Liverpool, and he is in 4th place with 596. He might just catch up to him, but then again, I don't know, man. Milner is, he's not exactly young, right? I believe he's like in his 30s. Yeah, he's 36, so not sure if it's going to be easy, but he can still catch up to Gareth, at some point. And the player with the most goals is, of course, the amazing Alan Shearer, who played for quite a few teams, most notably Newcastle and Blackburn Rovers, but I think he did much better in Newcastle. He played from 1992 until 2006, so from the onslaught of the Premier League, League, you know, into 06, and he is the highest scorer with 260 goals to his name, you know, and given that he amassed that in 441 appearances, that gives him a ratio of 0.59 goals per game, you know, more or less. Yeah, I think per game, just his average stat there. And in third place is Harry Kane, who plays for Tottenham Hotspur. He currently has 194 goals, so he might catch up to Allen, no, at least in my opinion. And I don't know. I just personally think that you know, it's a very hard record, you know, to catch up to, but still. Now let's talk a little bit about the managers. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson is considered to be one of the most successful managers in Premier League history, but he is still the longest serving one, you know, and he is the most successful one, the one who collected the most silverware. But the longest running was actually Jurgen Klopp for Liverpool, who was a coach for 7 years, you know. And then we have, of course, other ones like Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, and also Patrick Vieira, you know, quite a few managers as well. The Premier League has seen quite a few amazing foreign players as well. We're talking Didier Drogba for Chelsea, Thierry Henry for Arsenal. There was Dennis Bergkamp, who also played for Arsenal, you know. There were so many. It seems like the Premier League produces better foreigners than actual club-made English players, you know. Not to say that the Englishmen suck, quite the contrary, but it seems that it's always the foreigners who come in and make a bigger effect, you know. Gianfranco Zola, you know, the Italian who played for Chelsea back in the 90s and early 2000s, I believe, you know. More recently, we had Felipe Coutinho, the Brazilian striker who played really well for Liverpool. We have now Mohamed Salah, you know, who's one of the best foreigners I've personally ever seen, you know, and I think he even deserved the Ballon d'Or. There are way too many players, man, you know, within the league, you know, with actual English-bred players. I have seen, you know, for example, Frank Lampard, who played for Chelsea for many years. He was a manager later. Steven Gerrard for Liverpool. Bro, the list goes on and on and on, you know. Within the domestic ones, we have Michael Owen, David Beckham. I can just keep going. But the point is that so many amazing players have gone through the Premier League, you know. They have gone out to inspire other teams, like when Beckham himself went out to Real Madrid, Milan Galaxy. Steven Gerrard went to play in Los Angeles Galaxy because, you know, it just was way too much pressure for him. So it was good, man. You know, we have, if you saw the Premier League like from the early to mid and late 2000s, you really saw a slew of amazing players, and I really envy you a lot because I only started watching soccer in 2009 and began following the Premier League in 2014, so I really did miss out on quite a lot, but still, we saw quite a few amazing players, and I still saw quite a few amazing players in my time, so can't really complain. Before I continue, let's take a look at another clip here from the Premier League, you know, a little bit more modern now. Another player, another team, another goal, another era.
Sometimes you can't always defend everybody. It's Ronaldo, fizzes one in, and it's O'Shea, it's broken too, and John O'Shea has done it! In stoppage time, isn't that just the hallmark of champions? It hasn't been their best day, they've ridden their luck, but they've got the goal!
Alright, pretty cool, huh? Pretty dang cool, man. I really hope these clips are working out. I really do. God, I've putting in so much work into making this video. I hope everything works out. Anyway, in case you guys don't know, the sport of soccer, or as they call it in Europe, football, was actually founded in England, you know, way back in the 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna say it and put a specific date here. I researched this, you know, but it might be wrong. Feel free to, you know, fact check me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, the sport of soccer was created in 1863 in England, you know, where they also came up with a set of rules for you to use, you know, with their guidebook. And then some years later, about a decade or so, they created the FA Cup, you know. This was in 1872, and if I'm not mistaken, it is the oldest soccer competition in the world, you know. And even though it has evolved a lot over the decades, you know, and well, even more than decades, right? We're talking like over 100 years at this point, right? So throughout that, it has spread to other parts of the world, and you can always argue that the soccer in your country is better than anywhere else, but if you really truly understand the sport, you know, then you know that in England it is the most balanced, you know, because let's take, for example, the Bundesliga in Germany, where they are very much focused on attacking, you know, so their tactics are very offensive, you know, the players are always very aggressive in scoring a lot of goals, such that Robert Lewandowski was one of the best strikers in the world while he was playing for Bayern Munich, you know. He even scored 5 goals in one game. Then we go over to Italy, for example, which is the opposite. They focus a lot on defense, you know, they employ a lot of defensive tactics, you know, to stop the strikers in their tracks, so they have the best defenders in the world for a reason. It's really hard to infiltrate an Italian defense, you know, so you have to be a player like, for example, Cristiano Ronaldo or Kaká, you know, to get in there and score goals. Kaká was in the heyday, in his prime in Milan, was kind of unstoppable. So, but even to this day, they have a lot of top-tier defenders. Then we go over to Spain, where it's much more tactical, you know, popularized by teams like Barcelona, with a lot of touches in the balls and, you know, invoking many passes to a bunch of different players until they eventually score the goal. Of course, you can just use a cheat code like Messi to just give him the ball and he'll dribble through everybody and score, you know. But Spain is much more tactic-oriented with teams like Real Madrid and Atletico de Madrid also showing that, you know. But England is kind of where everything just comes together, you know. They are very good offensively, defensively, and tactically. That's why they are so balanced, you know. If you watch a Premier League match, no matter who is playing, you are going to be entertained, you know. There are always the big teams that we look forward to, like Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, you know, the Spurs, you know, Tottenham Hotspur. Everton was also a top contender for a few years, and Leicester came out of nowhere to become a top-tier team. But still, every other team can outperform the big ones, you know. Like the Premier League is the only match in the world, the only league in the world where the smallest team can defeat the biggest team while outplaying them. It's not about getting lucky and the big team slipping up. No, they're both playing well, but somehow the smaller team gets ahead, you know. It's crazy, bro. It is so balanced, and I have seen so many crazy Premier League matches over the years since I started watching it, you know. It's just been insane, and so many amazing players, so many memorable goals, and a lot of unforgettable moments, you know. I have never been to England, so I have unfortunately never watched a match live. It's always been on TV, you know, and I've even caught quite a few on YouTube, but it's never really been the same, you know. It's just so crazy, man. I love the Premier League so much. Even though soccer has slowly started to erode my list, you know, it's not my favorite sport now, but whenever I watch the Premier League, I remember why I fell in love with this sport in the first place, you know. So, you know, it's really tough too. It's really hard. Sometimes a player would play really well in a certain league, then when he gets to the Prem, it's a whole different ball game. The best example that we've seen is Ibrahimovic, you know, who was playing really well in any other team that he played for. I even did a video about him recently, just about him, a little short biography, you know, with videos and stuff. When he got to Manchester United, he was not the same Ibra as before. He lasted, I think, less than a season before going to the United States and playing for Galaxy, you know. It's really tough, man. There are players who kind of fade into obscurity once they hit the Premier League. Edison Cavani is a good example. Played pretty well in PSG, then he went to United and then he just kind of sucked, you know, he just faded. Sometimes the opposite happens. A player is going to play very well in the Premier League, like Felipe Coutinho in Liverpool, then go somewhere else and just fade into obscurity, you know. It's really sad, man. It's really, really sad. And I'm a pretty big fan of Coutinho, you know. Always liked him a lot in Liverpool. But when you stop to think about it, the Premier League is the best league that you have, man. Not because it's the most watched, but if you look at their history, how they evolved and how many amazing players have gone through there, how many teams were successful and all of the crazy runs through the championships, you know, nothing even comes close to the Premier League in my opinion, you know. And if I was born an Englishman, I definitely would probably have supported Chelsea, you know, or United, because honestly, I mean, I saw Chelsea win a Premier League back in 2014. When I started following the Premier League and supporting a club, the club that I chose won the Premier League, man. That's just crazy. These kinds of things really just don't happen. There are other cups as well, you know. There's the domestic league cups, you know. There's the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Capital One Cup. I'm pretty sure they're all probably the same thing, but you get the idea. And I honestly think the Premier League is miles above everyone else, man. It is tough and grueling, you know. Cristiano Ronaldo is a very good testament to this, because he had to, when he played there for United, he had to slowly bulk up, you know, put on weight and really work out to become a monster, you know, so he could withstand all of the aggression that he was receiving. So you have to really truly be a hard man to play. You can't be a boy there, man. You have to be tough as nails to play in the Premier League, and that's why I admire it so much, you know. I really love it. It's freaking crazy. God, the Prem. I am actually really curious to know about you guys, you know, what you consider to be the best league in the world. If you agree that it's the Premier League, let me know in the comments below, because you know very well, if you know soccer, you know that not just anyone can play in the Premier League. Quite a few players have never played there that have been considered to be the best in the world, like Ronaldinho. Imagine Ronaldinho playing in the Premier League, man. What team would he have chosen? You know, how would he have played? Because he could have pretty much played anywhere in his heyday. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you watch the Premier League, if you support a club, which one you prefer. your favorite players, you know, and it's all good. And I think that's it, guys. If you happen to enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a like and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at, hit the notification bell too to know exactly what time I upload. I'm sorry to be rushing off. It's because my battery is running low, so I'm gonna have to kind of yada yada at the end here. But I'm not gonna let you guys go that off that easily, you know. Before I go to the outro screen, I'm going to show you one final clip from the Premier League, you know, maybe more recently, a goal that someone scored for a team, and that's what we're going to wrap it up with. So watch that clip and then stick around to the end because there's going to be an outro screen with more related videos that you guys might want to watch. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the final clip and then the outro screen.
But he does have to beat David De Gea. Just brilliant again! Dimitri Payet for West Ham United! Are they on their way to Wembley?